Glitterjaw?
Glitterjaw
presents a variety podcast feed from the hosts you know,
with plenty of friends along the way.
Hey, how much longer till we get to Nagasaki?
Well, actually, we've passed Nagasaki.
Huh?
According to the map, Ikitsuki Island is just north of Nagasaki. After we pass the mountain, we should be right in sight of it.
That figures. We've been busting our asses all this time, and we already passed it.
So we made it. It almost doesn't seem real. There were times when I thought we'd never get here. But we actually did.
We're not done. Even if we do get to that damn island of yours, it doesn't mean we're gonna find your smelly samurai.
Well, yeah. I guess you're right. You know, doesn't it seem strange?
What?
Well, the fact that we've been traveling together this whole time, but we don't really know anything about each other. Like who we each were before we all hooked up, you know?
Huh?
I suppose you're right.
Hey, I know. It's time to come clean. Why don't we go around and tell one thing that we've each kept secret about our past? You never know. We might not ever get a chance to tell each other these things again.
What's up with her?
She's sentimental.
She's what kind of mental?
Welcome to the first episode of Friends of Glitterjaw, a Glitterjaw Presents series where we get to have conversations with our friends about art. At least that's what this conversation is going to be about today. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by not just a close friend, but probably one of the biggest collaborators and supporters Glitterjaw has outside of our collective walls. He's one of the hosts of Together We Anime and Two Tall Boys. Plus, he's published several books. You're an author several times over with his latest book of poetry, Infinite, a Poetic Companion to Samurai Champloo, out right now. And the subject of our discussion today, it's Stik Braxton. Stik, thanks for being here. Thanks for being the first guest on Friends of Glitterjaw.
It's an honor, man. When you approached me about this, I quickly said yes because I have nothing going on these days. And I just need something to do. And what better thing to do to hang out with my boy Tommy and talk about Samurai Champloo and Infinite, man.
So we're going to have to talk a little bit about Samurai Champloo for sure, because this is one of the first times that we have talked since I've actually finished that show. And it took me way too long to finish it. And just like a lot of shows, it ended up being one of those things that when I finished it, I was like, why did it take me this long to finish this?
Yeah.
And you know why, because it's so good.
Yeah. I know we'll get into it for sure, but yeah, it's one of those ones where once you start, you kind of want to finish, but life's, but once you finish, you're like, this was well worth the wait.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I mean, specifically, we're here to talk about Infinite, which is your latest Poetic Companion. And I say latest because it's the second in what I'm personally hoping is going to be a long series of Poetic Companions. And we might talk about that in a bit if there's going to be more. But your first one was Easy Come, Easy Go, a Poetic Companion to Cowboy Bebop. And I think the first thing I wanted to know, Stik, because I mean, you are, like I said, you've been published multiple times. You're writing all the time. How did you arrive at writing first a Poetic Companion to Cowboy Bebop and then Samurai Champloo?
Well, the Easy Come, Easy Go is interesting because the main reason I did that is because if you know, before that, I had finished Bonds, which is part of the Alicia Parsons detective series that I do. And as an artist, the main thing I value is like feedback. And so while I did get feedback on the book, and, it's easier when it's word of mouth and you meet people and they talk about it, I wasn't getting the response that maybe I thought I would get, right? And so, you know how artists are. We're sensitive when we get a little in our little moody mood. So we throw on some emo punk and stuff, just to recalibrate or whatever. And so I wanted to do something where it was for me, something that I love and that I wanted to do and that I had no expectations on, right? With like, I release it, it's like, if people like it, cool. If people don't, I'm okay with that too. So
yeah,
one day, or during my annual Cowboy Bebop rewatch, I was like, it'd be cool if I just wrote a poem about this episode. And it happened. And I was like, can I do it again? And then it just spiraled. Once I get like 2 in, I'm like, all right, I got to do something at this point. And so, yeah, the passion project happened, and Easy Come, Easy Go was very surprisingly successful, honestly. I still get people like, like royalty checks don't really matter to me. That's just a fun little surprise every month when it's like, oh, you're getting paid. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. Then you go see what it is. And it's people are picking up, Easy Come, Easy Go, just randomly. So, I've been taking a break just with, Kai and raising a family and stuff like that and different things. And I hit like a wall last year, trying to write the 3rd novel. And I was like, let me just do another one. And I was like, what better one to do than just Samurai Champloo, man? And I just started, and we're here.
That's wild. So when you sat down, you didn't like in your head say, I'm going to write a poetic companion to Cowboy Bebop. You like literally were like, you watched an episode, got inspired, wrote a poem. Was the first episode that you did that with, was it the first episode of the show?
Yep. Because I mean, how the first episodes are, man. They're captivating, and like just the way it opens and the characters, and of course that music. The music's really the big inspiring part for both of them, really.
Yeah.
Because it just takes you a certain way, and you're like, well, let's see, could I tell this story from this character's perspective and feel the vibe and kind of match the energy that it happened. And once I did that, I was like, let's just see if I can do it 26, 27 times.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that that stood out to me both with Easy Come, Easy Go and with Infinite is like, so I guess I should describe a little bit for the listener who might not have picked up the book yet. There's a poem for each episode, right? You've done a poem for each episode of the show in both instances, and they're from different perspectives. Sometimes you return to the same characters and things like that, but you're kind of like embodying like a little bit of like what you get from that character from the show, right? And then you're writing a poem from that character's perspective, and you, like you said, you do it 26, 27 times. So one of the things that's I think fascinating to me about that, and something that like stuck out to me like as I was reading this, was like I started to feel like, especially when you were like returning to characters, like, Mugen, Jean, Fu, like will have different, spotlights throughout the poems and things like that. And it really felt like you found a way to have a different voice for each one of them. And so I wanted to like ask, like, how did you approach that? Right? Like you're writing poetry. It's both from your voice, but also from the character's voice, right? How did you find a way to kind of like match the character's voice in either of your collections, and also like have it still be that Stik voice?
It's a tricky balance, because you want to. At first, when I first started writing like the Cowboy Bebop one of the things I was like is, I want to speak from that character and like maybe their feelings and maybe their emotions and maybe the vibe that they were feeling, but I also wanted to still maintain my voice and like some of my vernacular slang. So it was kind of like this combination of, let me make sure I'm hitting the points of the anime, right? Like some of the different planets or like the settings or like these different elements, but sneak in some stuff that I would say, right? So for example, like Infinite, where I think in one of my ones, I forgot which one. Oh, it's Ryukyu Islands, where I'm talking about Mugen and him going back to his or meeting up with his old pals from his birthplace. And to me, it's a dangerous place. But when I say you can take me out the hood, but not the hood from me, that's me sneaking my part in there, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of this balance. Like it's still me, but kind of embodying the character that I'm hoping to capture.
Did you? I mean, speaking of like the different characters and things like that, did you find? Was it ever harder to write from like a particular character, or easier to write from a particular character's perspective?
Mugen's easy.
Yeah.
He's just brash, braggadocious type of situation. Those are easy. I think the most difficult one are like one-off characters or like Fu. But Fu's not even that difficult either, though, because Fu has such an interesting. Samurai Champloo is so interesting because like Fu is the main character. We're following her story.
Right.
The other two are just like sidekicks essentially, right?
Yeah.
And so like it's difficult from the perspective where she doesn't get like a lot of action scenes and doesn't get a lot of that. She's always getting captured, so that's not the easiest thing to write from. But the emotions of trying to find something that you lost or dealing with this thing that you're trying to close a circle, that's easy for me to write from because I think we all have stuff where we want closure for certain elements or we're searching for just an end to something, and that's easy to write from. So she's difficult from the action perspective, but not from the actual element of writing.
Yeah, it's funny you say she's the main character because like that feels like obvious, right? Like when you say it, but like when you're deep in the show and you're watching the show, sometimes you're like, it does such a good job of like balancing, right? Like, you know, the ensemble sort of nature of the cast and also the ensemble sort of nature of some of the side characters, and you do like you pick up on like a couple of more than a couple like of characters that only like maybe appear in an episode and things like that. Is there one that like stood out to you that from like the non sort of like main character circle that was either like harder to write from and like you're like maybe I shouldn't do that, or were they all just kind of like once you get into it you can get into it?
The two that come to mind are the one with the pickpocket. Writing from his perspective of, because his is such an interesting story. And I wish, he's one of those characters where you wish you had a little bit more time with him. It has to be one episode because that's just the nature of the show.
Right.
But his reasoning for the things that he does was so interesting to write from because it's this balance of what's really a good son. Mm-hmm. Is he a bad son because he's doing all these things to stealing and all and dealing with like narcotics or whatever, but is he a good son because of the reason why he's doing it? So that's fun. And then the other one that just was probably the most interesting and fun was the spy in the episode Bogus Booty, where she's sneaking. There's this counterfeit run. Yeah. And it's, Mugen's trying to, he's trying to do what he does. And she's fighting him off like, yo, I just need you to help me. And like, just right from the perspective of the woman being like, I know you're trying to quote unquote, listen, we can cuss, right?
Oh yeah. You can say whatever.
I know you're trying to fuck, but like, I need you to help me fight these people off. And then maybe. And so like, that was kind of fun to write from too.
That was a fun. I actually had that one like dog-eared in my book of like that was a really fun one that because it is funny too because like so just how I approach this, right? Like I mentioned, this was my first full watch of Champloo. I've started like multiple times and then put it down, but then your book coming out, I was like, well, I want to watch the episode and then read the poem like right after finishing it. And it became like it was really fun to like honestly figure out like one, like who the perspective character was going to be for the poem that you're writing. And then two, just figure out like which direction you were going to go in it. And I will say that like one thing that, if you haven't read this book yet, anybody who's listening and you're like, is this just going to be like rehashing the show or like anything like that? It's not. It's more like just kind of like, I put this in the review that I put, but like it feels more like a deeper exploration of the characters and like an extension, right? Like when you see like a companion, right? Like a companion to a series or something like that, a lot of times you're thinking like, oh, it's going to do like the ins and outs of like, the behind the scenes, or it's going to give you like, these like factoids and stuff like that. And that's all interesting stuff. I think what you do is like nobody else is doing this, and it's really special because it's like you get to spend more time with those characters and you get to spend more time like really digesting and like having another way to think about like what you just watched in a way that's a little bit more cerebral, right? Than just like getting some of those behind the scenes stuff, which like that's all fine. That's fine and good. Behind the scenes stuff is fun. But that was one of the things that, like, that journey of like going through it, like it really works really well. Like it honestly does. And I'm not just saying that because we're friends and we're doing like a podcast together, but like it really, honestly, even if I didn't know you at all and I had picked this up as a companion to read along with Samurai Champloo, it was a really fun way to, I don't know, check out the show. So thanks for that, for one. And to get to an actual question out of that, instead of just heaping praises on you. So I wanted to know, like, what was the process, right? Like, in terms of you're sitting down, like, I know you're obviously like watching these episodes and then writing it. How many times are you like watching each of these episodes as you're writing these poems? Like, how many of them did you have to like go back and like rewatch and like rewrite? Like, what is the actual process, like, sitting down to write these?
So the main process is instantly watch the episode, go ahead and just watch it, really kind of pay attention to, you know, some of the smaller details, kind of see what character is jumping out to me. Who am I, like, I can't take my eye off of you for some reason.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the, and sometimes it's not necessarily just a character. It's maybe like a relationship between characters, or like, so for example, the second one, Red Eye Reprisal, which is, what's that one called? Oh, Ogre Dancing. Ogre Dancing. So it's the perspective of Mugen, but it's also kind of the perspective of my night. Like, I was just trying to enjoy my night. However, now I put myself in this situation where now I'm damn near about to die, and I have to deal with this ogre that my friend, who I just met a couple weeks ago, by the way, has now befriended randomly. Right. So it's like I'm balancing this type of thing. So I watch the episode, try to figure out the details. From there, I go on YouTube, because YouTube is the easiest place to find like beats. You know, people, I don't want to do like mainstream stuff. I want to find people who are just like 2,000 views, 3,000 views, something low, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm just trying to get the vibe, like, what sounds good to me. For those who don't know, Nujabe's one of the legendary lo-fi producers, probably one of the two biggest pioneers of the genre. Passed away in a car crash, but he left back so much music. So I would pick apart some of his stuff, or if somebody has a Nujabe's type beats, you know, the type of thing. So I go for that. And then from there, I just listen to that a few times. And then after I listen, it's really about getting that first two. And the way I write is I'll come up with the first two lines. And then from there, it's just finding what the flow sounds like. And whatever the flow sounds like, I'm like, okay. And if it's da-da-da, I try to just keep going that. And then sometimes I like to sprinkle in maybe like a stretch and then return to it. So that's kind of like the process. And then as far as like going back, it was very rare that I had to go back to watch something. But there were a few episodes. I'll tell you right now, the toughest one to write was the one about the magical fields. The one where Mugen has to go retrieve something. Does he have the severed head or something? Yes, that's right. He's going to and he gets caught with the dudes who are smoking weed in the random, and then they all smoke weed, and then the episode ends with I could not figure out what to write about that. I was like, what is this? And I'm like, so I wrote it, and then I was like, I know I took like 4 to 5 days on that, and I was like, and it's not long. It's not long at all. And I was like, I'm gonna stop here. I'll just keep going, because if I stay here, I'm a perfectionist, and it's gonna bother me. So I was like, let me just go on. So I did the rest of them, and I came back to this one and the Ryuku Island one to redo them and kind of hash them over. But that's really the process. Just watch, find a beat, and then just kind of see where it takes me.
That's wild that you say like it's like the first two lines being the most important, because like that makes sense. But like so many of these, like you get to the end and like you find a way to have like a gut punch like at the end, or like just like that punctuation mark, like the one you're talking about, the ogre dancing. Like I love that one ends with, as for me, I've done enough, all I need is sleep. And it's just like, I don't know, it's perfect. And that's the other thing too that was like, you know, I mentioned too, of like wanting to know, like after I watched the episodes, like wanting to know like who the perspective character was going to be. And that one was one that like kind of took me by, I shouldn't say take me by surprise, but like, you know, I think there's like maybe another way you could win of going in like the direction of like writing from like the ogre's perspective, or the, you know, and I think you actually took a smart choice with that, because that's an earlier episode too. And so you get to kind of get into Mugen's voice a little bit earlier, and like explore Mugen a little bit earlier. And yeah, it was surprising like to see that. And then, like I said, the way that you are able to like sort of subvert that too, because that is such a like, I mean, it's a really somber episode, right? Like of the show. And not to say that the poem doesn't have that there as well, but like, because it's from Yugen's voice, like it's a little bit less, like it's a little bit more undercut. And so I think that's a really just smart way that you've approached like each of these two. Was that something that you had in mind, like as you were approaching these two, of like, is there a way, like as you're thinking about the perspective that you're going to take on, like is there a way that I can undercut maybe what the episode does, or undercut might be a strong word, but like maybe go a little bit different direction from the episode?
I would say it's hard to say, because like the way I write, I have something in mind, and then sometimes things do change, and I'm like, well, how do I want to end this? Because I think, like I said, the first few lines are the most important, but like the toughest lines are always the last ones. Yeah. Because I don't like you said, like I appreciate it too that you say that I'm able to punctuate some of these with like something that's like, oh, that's a good stopping point. It's not always easy, because I'll be like, all right, stop here, and I'll look at it and I'm like, that don't sound right. It just doesn't have that certain thing. And there are a few in here where I'm like, I could have probably went a little bit longer, but then I don't know if because my sweet point is, I notice for me, I get really good, like right in that middle part. And I don't want to extend the life of the poem too long where like you forget that this was fire. Right. Yeah. So I want to be like, I want you to be like, oh, if it's lines 4 through 12 are like fire, I want to end it by 16. Cause I want you to be like, ooh, let me go back to see. Cause I like how this bled into this. Even if that last part isn't like the craziest, you'll be like, ooh, but it bled into it like really well. You know what I'm saying? It's like a safe landing on a flight. You know what I'm saying? Do you find that you're finding that in sort of like the initial process, or is that sometimes or more often like when you're coming back to it and doing that reread editing piece? No, because like with me, like I said, I'm a perfectionist, man. Like if let's say I did one today, right? If I start one today, which is usually my process is like from like 8 to 11 is my writing time, is when I'm in a writing novel, whatever type of mode. That's 8 to 11 is my time. And depending on what it is, novel is like 1,000 or 2,000 words a month or a day. But if it's a poem, it's let's just try to finish one in 3 days. That's just the process. So if I do one, if I can watch an episode, find the beat, listen to the beat, overtimes. On that first night, I'll probably have like 6 to 8, but I get stuck after that because my brain is just like, all right. Because like at the same time that I'm writing it, I'm also kind of saying it to the beat. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, this makes sense. But then if stuff gets too wordy, or I'm like, it's not what's called, and I know myself, I'm like, I can't do this. I go to bed. I'm not gonna bang my head on it, right? So second night, come back, I redo it. I'm like, okay, this sounds better. Then we find the next, probably 4, to be honest. If it's like if we're just talking like 16 lines, I'll probably be 4 for the second night. Then by night 3, it's over. I'll be able to finish or whatever. Because at work, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, and then, yeah, so like, there are very few times where I have to come back and I'm like, I'll change some words. I might change a few words. I'm not redoing stuff often for me.
I gotcha. That's wild to think about. Like, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like it's as you're sort of writing stuff, like you're going to get that inspiration like somewhere else. So like, yeah, you don't need to beat your head against the wall. Like if you're stuck, it's just funny because I feel like that's so often like the opposite of like what people teach, like in writing too, of like, just put something down, you know what I mean? But I'm kind of with you on that. I find myself in that same boat too sometimes where I'm like, I'll just get stuck and like the words don't come out, and I'll put something down and then I feel like weird about it, and then I get stuck on that. And so that's like, I might have to like start doing a little bit of that, of like, just once I get to a good point, stop, walk away.
I don't understand people who can do that. And I have a friend, like one of my tattoo artists, like he started writing books. I was like, yo, cause he's cranked out 9. And I'm like, Bob, how do you do this? He's like, I just write whatever. And then I'll just go back later. I'm like, I can't do that. Yeah. Cause my mind won't let me do that. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. That punctuation's not right. That's not a capital. I can't do it. So like, I rather just self-edit myself as I go along.
Yeah.
Let me hear it back, and then from there, I'm cool with that. That's a process I'm okay with. If I had an actual editor, that could be like, hey, just do it. I'll take care of it later. That'd be one thing.
Yeah.
But I am the guy until further notice.
Now, is that the same process for when you're writing a novel too? Is because I know that like your poetry is like it's a different style of writing. Are you kind of the same way with that, where you're gonna like, if I get stuck, I'm gonna leave it, or do you try to still like get it to a page count or something like that?
So the goal, I know the last time I did it, the last two novels, I was like, you know what? Let's just try to do a binge where it's like 1,000 words a night. Let's just see what happens, and most nights I will hit it or go over it. And then there are some nights where I'm like, this ain't the one. And I'll write whatever I can. And I'm like, and it's different, right? Because like you're trying to add details. You're trying to create plot points. You're trying to create engaging dialogue, right? And so that's, I would say it's like semi easier because you can kind of like, how to have a conversation with somebody. But then when you start getting into deeper plot points, because I don't know how to say that word. I know how to say the word, but like, how it is.
Yeah.
But you get into that point where it's like, all right, I can't keep things straight. So I'll cut it. I'll call it for the night. Whether that's going to bed or whether I'm like, let me just go watch an anime episode of something. Or like, I'll watch something that's inspiring. So detective stuff, I'll watch Matlock. I'll watch Murder, She Wrote. I'll just randomly, like, all right, let me see what my favorite detectives and defense attorney are doing. And then just go from there.
I'm going to ask this, and I think I already know the answer to it because you host an anime podcast too. And so I think I know the answer, but I'll ask anyway. Do you have to, like, when you're writing, or when you were writing Infinite or even Easy Come, Easy Go, did you have to like take anime away from yourself a little bit while you're in the mode of writing in these like particular worlds? Or were you still just like, nah, I can still just watch whatever?
It's not that difficult, man. Not for real. Cause I got the podcast, so there were some times where it kind of bled together.
Yeah.
But again, I can say I'm not watching. It's not like I'm binge watching, right? I'm watching maybe an episode every 3 days. You know what I'm saying? Plus, you take the time, the weekends where I'm like, I'm not doing this weekend. I'm taking time for myself. But then once we get back to Monday, we're back on it. So it wasn't that difficult. Plus, it's such a unique, and we were talking about this the other day, where Samurai Champloo is such a unique setting because like it's historical.
Yeah.
But it's also like, why is there baseball? And why is there a graffiti artist? Why are there's just a bunch of different I like the way they do the graffiti because like it's still paintbrush and that's cool. And it taught a really valuable lesson, but it's like, that's not historically accurate. But the things that they were talking about and the people they were talking about are really there. So, it's not many shows can replicate that type of setting.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, I like I said, I figured I knew the answer to it, especially because like I said, you have to host an anime podcast. It's not like you can be like, y'all, we're done podcasting for a year because I got to write this book, which I did see in your blog. You said that the writing process for this one was about a year. Was this one longer than Easy Come, Easy Go?
That's a great question. Maybe. Oh, it was because I took a break. Easy Come, Easy Go was pretty straightforward. It was like back to back to back. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then I was just waiting to get the cover back and all that stuff. So that's what took longer for that one. But as far as like this, I started maybe a year ago at this time. Did it, I want to say like 8 or 9. Took a break for the holiday season, I guess. And just kind of break for like other stuff. And I was like, you know what? Right before the new year, I was like, you know what? One of my goals this year is to get this off the ground. Let me pick this back up. So January 1 is why I picked it back up. So relatively, if I probably finished around February, March before actually having the rollout plan that I wanted to set up. So yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I can't really like say enough praise about it because I just think it's so, and also too, like, again, it was what got me to finish watching Samurai Champloo. So I'm indebted to you at least for that, right? Because like it took me way too long to do it. But so in terms of, I'm also curious between Easy Come, Easy Go and this one. Was there anything like you like learned doing the first book that you were like, okay, I know how to do this differently next time, or like anything like that you took from the first book that you feel like applied to the second?
Record the flows.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing. With Easy Come Easy Go, I would do like some of them, and I would try to go back and like, I would listen to the beat and try to do it. I was like, what is this? Like, how did I do this? And a lot of times I was drinking at the time, so that it could be a totally different flow at the time. But whenever I finished one for Infinite, I would be like, let me just record how it sounds. That way, if I have to go back and like edit, I can be like, aha, this is where this is supposed to sound. This is where even though this looks like a longer phrase or a longer line, this is how it's supposed to fit here. So that made the going back a lot easier this time. And that's really the main thing. And just trying to maintain the same vibe, you know. I think I didn't want to go too up and down with certain stuff and try to match. And I wanted to match the vibe of episodes a little bit better than maybe Easy Come Easy Go. Even though I loved all the beats that I chose for that one too. Mm-hmm. But I think this one, Infinite, definitely matches a little bit better. And I think it's easier because it's hip hop, and that's based, that's really based in like poetry and stuff. Whereas jazz is, but it's more musical than anything.
Well, and jazz also is much like, especially with some of the, you know, the soundtrack of bebop. It's like sometimes just like really free form sounding jazz too. Yeah. That, you know, I know you're not fitting, you know, necessarily to the beat of those songs, but like it's just a different brain space that freeform jazz really is. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things again that stood out to me about Infinite is that it does feel like the flow is like, it feels like you could read it out loud. Like, I mean, obviously, like I think that's true of both, but like you can tell, I think that you were kind of recording it to the beat for each of these. So I think it stands through. Is that something you would carry through to your other writing too? Of like, 'cause that's something that people talk about with writing, right? Is like, you know, record yourself, like read it out loud and like record yourself. Is that something you would do with like your next Alicia Parsons or any other novel that you're working on?
I've had a bunch of people ask me like, is there going to be like an audio version? Like the sweetest guy, man. He was one of the basketball guys back at Macon, and he's like, yo, you know, because he's going like blind or whatever. He's like, yo, I would really like to, you know, I think my wife read me the books before. I would really like to hear it on Audible. And I'm like, it's such a daunting task. I would love to have somebody to like do it for me. You know what I'm saying? But I think it would be cool to do, you know, but I just hate my voice, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds weird. I don't like reading my stuff in front of people. I don't like, you know what I'm saying?
You're on so many podcasts though, too.
I know, but it's like, I'm not reading my stuff. I'm just giving an opinion. That's different. Yeah. When it's your own work and you know, like certain stuff's supposed to hit a certain way. Yeah. And then I'm going to start looking at people, see like, did you get that? Did you catch the double entendre there? And then they don't get that's going to bother me.
Yeah. I get it. It's very different. Like, and I mean, even with podcasting, like you listen back to yourself sometimes, you're like, why did I say that? What was I talking about? Like, but you know, it is very funny, like how those different things like come into play, especially with something like, you know, like these Poetic Companions. One of the things I have to talk about this because, you know, one of the things that stood out to me when I was reading this, and like, I messaged you like some of them, like as I was like reading through it, but there's moments in this book that felt like, I don't know, and maybe it's because of like, and I'll put the question to you, but like it might be because the show is like sometimes prescient to today, but there's some of them that like I read and I was like, oh, this kind of hits because of stuff that's going on. But like, I'll get like an example, and I meant to put down which one this is from. But the verse is the strong no longer swing swords, they wield power. Need more, they steal ours. And then there's another one. I can't remember if this is from the same one, but it's if the nation got to burn, I'll be holding the match. And like both of those, I was like, huh. I could see some application, some of these to today. Do you feel like anything like bleeds through, like when you're creating these, of like anything that's going on like in the outside world, or is it just like the nature of like that's just what the episode was about and that's what came through?
Well, I appreciate you loving those lines, man. It's funny because like that's faux Yakuza, and when I was writing this, when I was going back just looking at someone, I was like, this one doesn't feel like it did what it was supposed to do. But then when I was going back, like running through them and just reciting them, I turned the beat on. I did this. I was like, "Ooh, that's all right.
That was good.
That's kind of fire."
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's crazy because that episode was really the total opposite, right? Because that's from the perspective of the people trying to deny the original code, right? Yeah. And it's the bad guy. So it's like, in a way, how do I put it? In the show, it's like it's from a bad perspective, but from out in the world, it's like, yeah, this is that the government is trying to just power is the new sword, power is the new gun, right? And so when I wrote it and I was reading, I was like, ooh, damn, that sounds kind of home.
I mean, it did. Like I like was reading it and I was like, whoo! I even like out loud. Like I think I was like, woo! Yeah. But no, I mean I think those are some of my favorite ones too. And I think when I mentioned it to you, you said that those are like some of the ones that you spent the most time with because they were some of the earlier ones that you had written. Were there any like episodes where, if you could go back and do, not saying like replace what you already wrote, but like, are there any episodes where you're like, I want to do like this character's perspective in that episode too, but you took a different route?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me think. I would love to have written from like the hand of God in the later episodes. Cause like, he's such an interesting character. Cause like he's strong enough where he's willingly a lapdog, right? So what's that? What does that look like? What does it look like to be strong enough to probably take down your oppressor, but just being like, this is fine. My life is content with that. You know what I'm saying? I think that'd be I think I'd be interested to really talk from Fu's dad perspective. That's the one I regret right now. But I just feel like it was more important to talk from not even her perspective of meeting him, which you get a little bit in like the last one, where in her stanza or whatever. But I would have liked to kind of dive deeper into his character because, you know, the whole time we're like, you know, why? You know, we're asking why. We kind of knew who he was mad early. Like, anime's pretty predictable, bro. Like it is what it is, right? But the why is still there. And so you're just thinking deadbeat. Then when you finally meet him, you're like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't be mad. So like, just to kind of get it from his perspective and just the religious aspect of it, you know what I'm saying? There's so many layers to his character in his very brief moment, right? That I wish I would have been able to write from. So I would say those ones.
Would you ever do a maybe like a special edition and have like some bonus content?
I've been asked about that and Easy Come Easy Go. I posted about it recently, and someone's like, "Yeah, it'd be really cool if we wrote from the perspective of Faye and Ballad of the Fallen Angels as she's captured by fishes." And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess that could." You know, watching Faye, watching Spike, her ever protector and savior, save her for the first time, really. Well, for like second, third time, she gets saved a lot too. But that would be cool. It'd be cool to kind of see from her perspective. So yeah, maybe I might think about it, man. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be. I would love to get more of either one. Being honest, I think that'd be really cool to have, just like a different take too, right? Like especially like that's something that's always in writing really fun is like how the perspective shifts. Did you have to change any of the, like, did you start with any of them and you're like, I'm not going to do this perspective and like have to go back and like change the perspective? Or were you just like, once you picked it out, you were like, this is going to work?
Not perspective. I've scrapped ones though, where I was like, nah, this ain't it. Where I started and it was like, I had like 6 lines and then I may have been stuck on it for like 2 days and I was like, this ain't gonna work. So I scrapped the entire thing. I'm telling you, Ryukyu Islands was not easy. It was not an easy one, going in, I thought it was gonna be real easy just because it's Mugen and it's his backstory and kind of, I thought it was gonna be really easy, but then I would write it and I was like, I'm not getting the vibe that I want. So I scrapped that one. There are other ones where it's like, the perspective is fine, but how I wanted to write it was kind of a challenge. So like the episode with my man Okuro, the guy that, whose village was destroyed and burned down, and he became basically the ghost in the woods, and the police were chasing him, and his perspective, and kind of going back into him, finding out that they killed him, killing them, becoming this myth and this legend, and then I wish I had like just more time with him, right? Where it's like, he has layers to him, and he has this, he's like ready to die, but he's also been dead ever since his family had died, in that village. I wish I had stretched that a little bit longer, but just the beat didn't allow for that. It was like, I need to get in and out of this one, because that's kind of what he is. He's like, I'm here. I have a goal. I killed the dude who killed my family. Now I'm falling off a cliff.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
It's funny. I mean, it's like hearing, I like hearing you talk about this too, because it's like your process is like, I don't know. It's such a different like process than like I was even thinking it would have been. So like, I'm really glad we're having this conversation about it, because like there's so many things that you're saying. I'm like, damn, like I didn't even like consider that as like an obstacle, right? Like of like wanting to go longer for the character, but like the beat not like allowing it.
Yeah.
So were there any that like you felt like it was like rough to like get to the length you were trying to get to? Or was it more like getting that like to cutting it down?
It was more. Oh no, some of them where it's like, so like some of my favorites are the ones where it's like 3 different stanzas and it's all from 3 different perspectives. Those are some of my favorite. So it wasn't necessarily not getting the meeting the mark, but making sure that I had the full amount that I wanted. So like Betrayal, where it's the episode where it's the episode after Mugen, the dude tries to kill Mugen on the ship or whatever, and we all find out that they've all been played. Being able to write from everybody's perspective that got played in the episode, I was like, I have to do all 3 of these. There was no choosing, like I can't pick one, because everyone got equally played, all by the same person, and everyone has a different feeling about it. And so I wanted to make sure that I had that. So I had to make sure I had a beat that was long enough, and I wanted to make sure everyone had the exact same amount of lines on it. So that's really the most difficult thing for me, was like when it's one of those, everyone has to have the same amount of perspective and time.
So getting like each character to like the same amount. Yeah, I could, that would be like, man, I don't know how. I mean, you're literally telling me how you did it, but like, I'm still like, I don't know how I would have done that. Like it's a wild thing to have to balance that, like all of those different aspects of it that go into this. And it's one of the reasons why I think it's just such a good, it's a really fun collection of poetry. And you hit some pretty major milestones with this release too. Like, are there any that like stood out to you, like that have been like your favorite that you got? I mean, like I saw one was #1 for Black poetry in the Kindle store, like the day it released, which is like, first of all, congrats.
Appreciate you.
But also, like, are there any of the other ones that you're like, man, that one like really means a lot to me?
Well, I was shocked that we cracked, I want to say, how far did we got really high, at maybe top 50 in the contemporary poems. And I was like, I wasn't like Black poetry, not to say it was easy to get in there, but like I knew I would have a little bit leg up there. But to be in like the kind of an overarching category of contemporary, and to see that we were able to get like top 50, I want to say like 44 or something like that, was pretty impressive. Yeah. So I was happy that, people showed up and showed out for sure. So I was excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and again, it's well deserved. I think it's a really cool. And again, like nobody else, I think that's the thing, is like I want to impress on people, is like nobody else is doing this. And it's such a it's wild to hear you say like it just kind of came to you, like, and I don't want to say accidentally, but you were just like, I'm just gonna write a poem about Cowboy Bebop. And then it turned into, now you have 2 of these. And so I have to ask the question, what's the third one going to be? Will there be a third one? You don't have to tell me exactly what the third one is going to be if you already have something in mind, but maybe would you do another one of these is the right question.
I've thought about it, man. It's a good. I like these because it's something that's kind of focused and like there's no. I already know how to do it, right? So I know there's no like extra thought process. It's Brandon picking anime, pick some beats, and then right from the perspective. So I would love to do it again. I don't even know what I would even call this series because like I'm kind of in this weird zone where it should be. I should just do another Watanabe series, but like Space Dandy, it's such an interesting.
I don't even know.
It's such an interesting thing to do.
Yeah, that'd be a wild one.
But at the same time, it's like I could just make it like the anime poem series or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to go that way. But also 26 episode animes seem to be a perfect sweet spot. And so it's like, what do I do? Like there's options, obviously, but it's like, do I go Trigun? Do I go, Outlaw Star? Do I try to extend it a little bit out? Do I like Full Metal Alchemist? There's like so many different things you could do. But I think it's easier for ones where it's kind of the series is contained and like you're not extending too much and like there's an overarching plot, but like you get these mini series, mini episodes in between where it's like, oh, I can at least talk from this perspective and about this rather than having to talk about this one thing all the way through. I think that would be a little bit more difficult personally.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, and also too, I mean, you have the two that have like the music connection. I know there's other like music connected anime, but like these are the two, like when you think of music and anime together, like that come to mind. So it kind of fits in that realm too. Well, I think we have some time for I want to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
And I say rapid fire, but I don't know. We can talk about them. This is really informal, we can do whatever we want. But we'll start off. We'll do an easy one. Favorite episode of Samurai Champloo?
Oh, I'm going to cheat. All right. I'm going to cheat.
Okay.
If you want to ask what episode I watched the most, it's going to surprise people. I love Baseball Blues. I don't know why. I can't figure it out. Cause like there's no real like regular sword fighting action. But God, it's funny. It's hilarious, man.
Baseball episodes and stuff are just, I don't know why. They're just good.
It's just funny, man. It's just one of those things where it's like the absurdity of everything and then just the way they treat the Americans is just funny, bro. I'm sorry, dog. It's funny.
No, it is.
It's funny. I'm glad that they didn't like, you know what I'm saying? They did a extra version of them. Homeboy actually looks like Donald Trump, by the way. And just an extra an extra version. And he acted like them too, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the future. But it's just it's so cool how they didn't like scale back on it, right? They were like, hey, listen, y'all have been having years of showing us in a certain light. It's time for our get back. And I was with that. That was funny.
Yeah.
That was funny.
I was with it too. I was also just gonna say baseball episodes. I mean, there's a really famous Star Trek episode that's centered on baseball that like is a lot like people love that episode. And so it's like, I don't know what it is, man, but baseball just works. Like when you have it just like in your show all of a sudden. So
it's so classic. But I would say the other two that I really enjoy are oh my God. Is it Elegy of Entrapment? That's the one with the blind swords, the swords with Sarah. Those are also good, man. Just emotional as far as just like the thing that's in the balance. Watching, you can kind of see everybody start to really care about each other. I know we're late in the series at that point, but everybody's kind of upset that somebody's leaving. Then somebody's upset that you killed my boy. And then somebody's upset that you let me win. Like there's so many different elements in there. And I think that's such a fun 2-part episode.
It's funny because sometimes like I think multi-part episodes of a show, when you have like it can be hit or miss, right? Like especially if it's like a 3-part or 2-part, sometimes the first episode's better than the second or whatever. I feel like all of the multi-part episodes of Champloo are like really good. Like there wasn't one that I like think about and I'm like, I wish they just made that one episode. Like they're all like, no, they did it right.
Yeah.
All right, what about favorite character?
It's Mugen, man. It's Steve. It's Steve again. You know, the voice actor. You know how he does, man. He does well, and I've always just been. He's very honest and very blunt. You know what I'm saying? He's got his flaws, plenty of them, but sometimes he's just like, I don't care. But he shows you that he cares in small ways. So many times in this anime, he's like, I'm out of here. And then you'll just see him walking and he's like, the stupid girl. And he runs back, or he goes to see Jean. He's like, Jean, I got out of bed for this. You know what I'm saying? And still helps him. Like, so he's such an interesting character, man. He should get more love as far as like character wise, because he's so complex.
I agree. What about favorite character not in the main trio?
Oh, Sarah for sure.
Yeah,
Sarah for sure.
That's a good one. Is there a favorite weapon outside of the main weapons that we see from maybe Mugen and Jean?
Shoryu's wind technique.
Oh my god. Yeah.
That's another episode I go back to a lot. Just so like it's so interesting, just the fact when you first see him use it and the blood coming out the eyes and stuff like that. So crazy. So
Wild.
That one for sure.
I haven't watched as many times as you, so I'm gonna forget his name, but the character at the end with the scythe sort of like on a chain thing.
Yeah, one of the brothers.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yep. And the thing I like about those episodes is we watched Mugen and Jean have two different styles. Mugen is very erratic and he's like, I'm gonna throw balls to the wall. This is how I fight. Jean is I gotta do this. Is very disciplined. And you notice in their last two fights, they have to switch. Mugen has to become super strategic and setting boy up to, finish him off. And Jean's like, I had to pull out the one move where I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but it's the only way I can win. So I thought that was cool how they switched their positions up in that.
Absolutely wild. One, if you had to pick Mugen or Jean to go on a journey with and protect someone, which one are you picking?
I'm picking Jean every time.
Yeah, that's the right answer.
Every time. With respect to my boy, I love Mugen to death, but like Mugen, he's gonna cause more problems than he is going to like he will protect you, but like he's also gonna bring 2 to 3 extra things that you didn't have to deal with. Where Jean is gonna deal with what's in front of him, and then we can continue to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Character that you found to be the hardest to write from their perspective?
Ooh, it's a good question. I'll say, I every time I just go back to, you know who it is? No, it's maybe not the perspective, because I don't even know who I would say it's the perspective of, but the religious one, the religious episode.
Yeah.
Because that really wasn't a perspective one as much of as an expose, really, about what I saw. You know what I'm saying? And you could really pick anyone. I would say it's probably more Fu, or maybe the woman that he had captured or whatever, as far as who the perspective's from. But it's really an overall look into religion, how it can look cultish, if handled incorrectly. So I would say that was probably the most difficult one, because I know what I wanted to say, but I wanted to make sure that it was still rooted in the episode.
Yeah, no, for sure. We already talked a little bit about another anime you'd be eyeing for this. What about a non-anime that you'd be eyeing to do a Poetic Companion for?
Ooh, that's a good one too. Damn, non-anime. Great question. Trying to think of a cartoon that would be kind of fire. Oh man. A non-anime.
Doesn't have to be cartoon. You can go any direction.
Damn. So I don't know why it popped in, because it'll be difficult because people don't get the movie correct all the time. But Scott's Pilgrim versus the World would be interesting, because it would be, because you can do it from the ex's perspective. And You can do it from the X perspective and like why because Scott sucks. Like I think people miss that. Scott sucks. He's a villain, and I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. I love the movie, but like people are like, oh, he should have ended up with. Well, Nas was 17. I can't stress that enough. Like she was not. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
like he corrected course, but like the movie is what's called. So that would be interesting to kind of talk from different perspectives of that and different his perspective of like what he's going through and what he's thinking about the villain, Ramona. Like there's a bunch of different ways I feel like I could take that one. Plus the cover art will probably be fire.
Yeah, that'd be sick. I was expecting Final Fantasy maybe, but
I thought about it, bro. That's also a very difficult one too, though. Because what do we do? Do I do 7? Do I do 10? Do I do an amalgamation of a bunch? Do I do Advent Children? Advent Children wouldn't be that hard. I think Advent Children I could do. The movie. Sick. That'd be pretty good. I'll put under consideration for sure.
I like both of those. I like Scott Pilgrim and Advent Children as options. And then finally, I'll put the question. It's on the back of the book. I'll put it to you, Stik. What are you searching for?
Oh man, what am I searching for? I don't know, man. Just a simple life, bro. Like I'm really just. If you ask me, like, how old is Dante now? If you ask me, like, 15 years ago, and go back in time and talk to old me. How old am I? 22-year-old me? Oh, yeah, it is our 15-year anniversary. Jesus Christ. Jesus. I forgot that reunion this year.
Yeah.
Fresh out of college, and I told him, like, everything we're doing. He would be like, bro, get the fuck out my face. But, like, I think he'd be proud though, man, at the end of the day. And there's still stuff. I still want to write stuff. I still got that novel that you helped me with before that. I need to get back to that. That's the one. That's really the one that I need to get back to. That I'm searching for that. I'm searching for the end to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to finish that.
I love it. Stik. This has been a blast. I appreciate, you taking the time to come and talk about your amazing Poetic Companion. If there's anything you want to plug, now would be the time.
Ooh, I do this a lot. Together we anime, first of all. Since we're talking about anime, where me and my co-host, we pick an anime from the dreaded anime wheel and we review it and we come back by the end of the month and let you know, was it great or was it trash? We have been on a summer break, but we did release an old episode about Death Parade just recently. Fire anime. That would be something interesting to talk about. It's all about death and like what is death and where you go, or what makes a good soul, what makes a bad soul. It's very mind fucking. Two tall boys, man. Me and Keem try not to get canceled every week, and we have been successful. We are almost about to hit 200 episodes, which is insane because we should have got canceled 150 episodes ago, minimum.
I was like, do you have the episode like in mind that you should have got canceled for?
No, I'm just guessing.
I was like, damn.
I've been running through some old Clueless episodes, man. This is kind of like the quote unquote final season. But we're going to come back with kind of something different. Maybe something called Clueless Conversations. We'll figure it out. But they've been coming out weekly. You can check those out over on YouTube as well, or wherever you listen to. And finally, BraxtonBooks.com. You know where to go. Buy some books, poem collections, novel series. Working on number 3 now. Yeah.
Sick. And it'll all be linked in the episode description for this episode. Again, can't thank you enough for being the first on our Friends of Glitterjaw. As for me, I am at Awkward Comma on Blue Sky and Instagram. You can also follow my other shows, Distant Echoes, a Star Wars podcast, where my partner Cass and I are traveling through the galaxy watching each episode of every Star Wars TV series in whatever order we please. Stik's been a guest over there a number of times, and Lee Carvallo's Potting Challenge, a Simpsons gaming podcast where my pal Derek and I are playing through every Simpsons video game ever made. Stik was a guest there as well, playing through Simpsons Wrestling. This has been a Glitterjaw Presents episode. Glitterjaw Presents is a variety podcast feed from the hosts you know, with plenty of friends along the way, where we are creating Standalone episodes, miniseries, odd experiments, and other special presentations on topics ranging from music to reality TV to conversations about queer media that shaped us. That's it for the first episode of Friends of Glitterjaw. We sincerely hope that you find your samurai who smells of sunflowers or whatever else you might be looking for. And hey, if you don't, hopefully you enjoy the journey along the way.